everyone, it's Mrs. P with Mrs. P's Budgets. I am getting ready to do walk you through a week of our budgeting. My husband gets paid once a week, and so this is kind of how I set up my weekly budget. This is very similar to the Budget Moms weekly paycheck budgets. I just created my own, and I don't mind sharing, so if you would like a copy of this, just comment below and I will share that with you. Our budget for January actually started December 28th, so we're already started. I've actually got my budget already started and set up, but I'd like to walk you through the process. And then tomorrow is January 3rd, so I will do a weekly check-in and just reconcile everything so that we go into our next second week budgeting, knowing where we start. So this is going to start, let me zoom you in. I am still getting used to this, and I noticed in my last video that my camera keeps trying to focus on my hand and not my writing, so I apologize. I don't know how to fix that. I will work on that. Let's get started. Okay, so this budget goes from December 28th through January 3rd, which is tomorrow. Some of this has already come out of our account, but I'm going to reconcile that tomorrow. So when I set up my budget, I always have my anticipated amounts first. So my first line would be my rollover. And I said in my last video, in case you haven't seen it, I get paid once a month. The December check is to go pay the January bills. My check came in December 20th or 21st. I used quite a bit of it to pay some debt, so it's not as much as I usually have. I anticipated having $2,500 come over to roll over into January, but it was actually $2,403.43. So we already know how much we started with. Mr. P, that's my husband. I budgeted $900, but it was actually $1,053.95. Then we had other. This usually comes in the form of payments from either my two sons or my mother or my father-in-law for the bills that we cover and they just pay us for. So we got $245, and that was exactly $245. And there was no other income that came in. Our anticipated amount was $36.45, but we actually had $3,702.38. All right, so first of the month is very bill heavy. We have, our mortgage comes out, and it is $1,115. XM radio, which I am probably going to cancel and not have this anymore. 10, the truck payment. We also have a car payment, but it comes directly out of my check, so we don't have to budget for it. Ortho is my daughter's braces. It's not really a debt. I guess it is, but the way our orthodontist does it, they just, come up with how much the entire process of braces costs, and then they just break it down. We pay a deposit, and then we just pay monthly on it. Progressive, that's the car insurance. It has currently myself, my husband, my father-in-law, and my son on this. They pay their portions. Well, my father-in-law doesn't, but my son does. Microsoft, that is my daughter's Xbox account. She uses that to play with her brothers who are grown and moved away, and this is how they kind of spend time together, is through the Xbox. Assurant, that is renter's insurance for my son. He pays for that. I have had this same insurance for him since he was in college, and now that he's out of college and has a job, he pays for that, but he's still renting. Scribd, that's like a book app. I use that for school, for work, because I'm a middle school teacher. I teach ELA, and the novel that we're reading right now is it's kind of a high level text, and sometimes when I have either students who, struggle with the text, or maybe I've got a homebound student and I have some students that, we've had the flu going around. Anyway, this is a way that I can still give them the read aloud. We will finish our novel at the end of January, so I won't need that anymore. So I will definitely cancel that, but we do need it for 1 more month. Apple storage. That's our family plan to, keep all our photos and pictures in the cloud. And then Google, which is something we really don't need because we have the Apple storage, but my husband says that there's things in this account that we need to move over, and I don't know, we just haven't done that yet. So that's $3. So our bill total is $1,983. Okay, so if I take the income amount, subtract the bill total, we should have 1,662 left over. And I will just bring that down here, 1,662. Our savings, I did take out $55 to put into our savings envelope. I've got different ways that I save money, and then when I get a good chunk, I put it towards debt. This will be the only amount that I take out. But then we also had our month ahead. Now, usually I get the full $600. We save $600. That's going to cover my summer funds. I don't get paid in the summer as a teacher, so I have to save money so that we have income, or we have money to pay our bills. It's $600 a month. This month was tight because I did use extra money towards debt, so I broke this down into 4 different weeks. Even though there's 5 pay weeks that we're budgeting for, 1 week was a very tight week, so I broke it down into 4 weeks. So that was $150. All right, and so that is all. Oh no, that's not all. Sinking funds. All right, sinking funds. Some of it's, high priority. Some of it's, things that come around yearly or quarterly that we have to pay. Some of it's saving for birthdays and holidays, things like that. But this particular week, we set aside $420 towards sinking funds. And that total comes to $625. And that would leave us with $1,037 remaining. All right, so let's move over here to our variable expenses. Let me zoom you in. I apologize. I don't really know how to do all this, but I'm doing the best I can. So I'm going to move that 1,037 over here. Groceries. Now, in my monthly overview, I mentioned that I am doing less this month on groceries. Typically, I do $150 a week. And that seems like a good amount for our family. But because I'm doing a low spend January, I'm doing a pantry challenge, freezer challenge, I wanted to cut down the groceries. But before I did that, I had already set up this budget. I had already taken out the cash, and I had taken out the $150. But I did take out $25 of that because I did decide to do $125 a week. We've already bought the groceries for the week. I already took $25 out that I will put towards next week's budget. So it's $150. We haven't spent $150 though. Pet supplies. Actually, a lot of these I'm going to have more here for this week, but then it'll work itself out because I'll do less next week. All right, so pets, $30 a week. Household, I'm going to do $25. Mr. P, Mrs. P, and little Miss P. She's our 13-year-old. She gets a little bit of an allowance too because, she goes to ball games and, does things with her friends. So she does chores and things like that to earn kind of this is her allowance. And you're going to see that there's a discrepancy between my blow money and my husband's blow money. And I will explain that. I get $45 and he gets $25. And the reason I get more than he does is because he has like these extra things that he's paying for. He uses his blow money, but it comes like out of our account, like subscriptions and things like that, that he wanted that is just for him. And so he uses his blow money, but because, you know, it would be silly to take the cash out and then have to put it back in. So that's why his is different than mine. Then our daughter gets 20. All right, so sporting events. Right now we are on winter break from school, but we still have basketball games and things going on. I budget $20 a week. That doesn't cover like refreshments and this, you know, food or drinks from the concession stand. We use our blow money to purchase that, but this does help us get into the ball games. All right, so I mentioned in my January overview that we are doing a low no spend January, so I'm not budgeting anything for eating out. If we want something from, you know, a fast food or whatever, it has to come from our blow money. Gas, I budgeted $80 because we had quite a bit of traveling to do with the holidays and things like that. We have not spent that much. You know, I've already filled up my car and actually had to fill it up and then get a little bit more, top it off. So we didn't spend $80, but we were close. And unbudgeted, usually we don't spend anything that is unbudgeted. This is a big difference from where we used to be. I mean, we used to be pretty bad, swiping the card, just no matter what we wanted, we got it. But we've really, you know, disciplined ourselves to where we're not doing that as much anymore. All right, so the variables totals comes to $390, and then that leaves us $647 remaining. All right, so then I move that down here to the debt section. And the debt section, we have Citibank coming out, and that it's supposed to be 20. I budgeted 50. My husband said it was 20, but I don't know. I was scared to just count on 20, so I put 50. We'll see. It hasn't come out yet, so I'm not sure. Wells Fargo, that's one of our balance transfer cards. $71 is the minimum. Xbox was $39. And Snowball. Now, I always budget $0 for Snowball. And I already know that we had some extra that I put towards debt. But because I'm just going to, you know, walk you through this first budget setup, when I do our weekly check-in, I will show you how much we put towards debt. All right, and for whatever reason, I have not added this section up. So let me go ahead and add this. 50 plus 71 plus 39 is 160. And if we subtract that from the 647, we have $487 remaining. Now, a lot of people do the zero-based budget. I do not do that because the way our bills fall, we can't always, you know, go all the way down to $0 because maybe the next week we need to put some towards, you know, bills or whatever, and we wouldn't have enough just with the regular paycheck. So we do roll over money. And then at the last, like, end of the month, what I do is take whatever's left over at the end of the month, and then that's what I used going towards debt. So, and I also have another, you know, method of saving up or putting towards debt, and that is done with my husband's overtime. Now, we had to use his overtime in our actual bills this time, but typically if I budget, say, this was was supposed to be a small check. So if I budget $900, anything above and beyond what I budgeted will go towards debt. But I didn't do that this time because, you know, I didn't have as much in mine coming towards January. So I just wanted to make sure we had enough to pay our bills all month long. So the rollover will go down here, and that is our anticipated rollover. Once January 3rd, I will come through, do the weekly check-in, make sure everything has come out. If it didn't come out, sometimes the way, you know, the automatic deductions come out of the bank, it might not be right on the January 3rd, even though it was budgeted for this week. So I'll just move it over to the next, you know, budget. But other than that, this is kind of how I do it. And I don't mind sharing this template with you if you would like to see it or use it. I find it very helpful to kind of break it down into sections like this. I know that the Budget Mom does that also. And then I'll come through with actuals, and then we'll get our actual rollover and start that with next week's budget. So anyway, that's how I do it. Thank you for watching. My husband keeps telling me I've got to remind you guys to like, subscribe, do the bell, all the things. So if you like this video and you want to watch more, you know, stick around. Thank you. Bye-bye.